We in uncharted territory right now, boys and girls. I promise you that. This is without doubt probably maybe one of the most riskiest lives that I'm going to endeavor upon. Okay, this is not what I had planned at all. I had a couple of ideas. A lot of things happened today in the world, hey, aliens and all that. But thanks to, what's up, Maxwell? Actually, you might come in handy. I'm in uncharted territory here. One of our fellow supporters sent me something. I never thought this is something I would look into, especially given that this is years ago, but I just I figured I always try. Like I hope that others see that this little brain of mine that it sometimes can accomplish things, and maybe I say things that somebody else has not thought of. We all try to add our little something special. So, and I'm certain if ever there was a live stream from this channel that is going to be demonetized or even removed, this is going to be that one. And I'm just going to break right in. This is not a clip that I'm going to showcase, and it might strike a lot of you as strange, but it's a fair question, and I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm just going to say what needs to be said, and we'll see what YouTube decides to do at the end of the day. Now we're traveling back in time a little bit here, okay? Y'all might remember a name, George Floyd. Anybody? So, it was sent to me via email, and I was, for the first time, like I remember, look, when I was a very loud progressive and Democrat, I was automatically, yeah, the Chauvin, F the cops, they're all dirty, they need to get locked up. I had never actually read the autopsy report and gone through it and come to my own conclusions. That would be a hypocritical thing for me to do. I do want to check one thing out real quick. So bear with me. I'm opening YouTube. And I mean, of course, I have clips, and I have now in a constant loop that one page is playing, oh, the aliens are here, and now everybody's kumbaya bipartisan. It's, oh, hey. Yeah, so fentanyl, right? Patrons. Okay. All right. So, you know what? You just gave me, with that gallows humor, the confidence to just push forward. And I'm just going to do this. I have to. All right. I have an analytical mind. I question everything. And this is something that I blindly accepted. And this very incident led to a grassroots movement that was allegedly grassroots. And the whole thing about the hands up, don't shoot, if you go deep enough about it, I feel like there's going to be certain friends of mine that this live in itself may just chase them away. And I hope that to those people, to those friends of mine that see this and see that I'm doing this, that please, you know me, you know who I am. We've spent time together. We have been friends. We have broken bread. Do not judge me based on a live stream, please. Hi, independent many. I'm a little intimidated, okay? I had an idea. I was going to come in like with humor and do a parody. And I was going to show the whole yeah, see, and more on that, Maxwell. And I was going to show, hi, Angel Wings, good to see you. I'm always glad that you're able to catch me. And the aliens thing, I'm probably going to end up talking about that anyway. But all right, here we go. Here's now, can anybody confirm? There was two autopsies ordered. One was by the police department. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then the second one was done by the family's attorney. So I want to thank the individual that sent this. And I did some research on some of the words because I don't know what a lot of this means. And here it is, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office. Oh, sorry, let me show you guys what I see. It's only fair, transparency and all that. All right, so I'm going to click over. Let's get that right. And boom. Okay. All right. Cardiology, pulmonary arrest. Okay. All right. So I was reading it and like makes sense, and then it gets it gets interesting, and it makes me question some of the same questions that other people have put out there publicly. Only I've watched people ask what should have been very basic questions that should have just warranted simple answers become a whole very emotional, like, how dare you even ask a question? And whenever you're poised in a position where you asking questions is shunned, you're in the wrong company. Okay, so blunt force injuries is the first thing, and first and foremost, he was 46, became unresponsive. This is old news. Okay, so cutaneous blunt force injuries of the forehead, face, and upper lip. That sounded very serious to me, right? So cutaneous is just basically, literally, it's just marks, like very light abrasions. I did look it up, and it is not indicative of anything severe. So putting cutaneous next to blunt force trauma makes it seem really, really intense. That's basically just saying, yeah, there's cuts and scrapes. Mucosal injuries of the lips. I, I I can't deduce and look it up. But I'm gonna assume this has to do with whatever is going on in the mouth that produces mucus. I don't know, but that is obviously not what caused the man's death. So more continuous blunt force injuries of the shoulders, hands, elbows, and legs. He was combative. He was taken down. This is to be expected. Patterned contusions in some areas, abraded of the wrists, contusions of the wrist. That would be as a result of being restrained, right? Consistent with restraints, handcuffs. Natural diseases. So this is what he already had going on. This has to be old news to people, but sometimes shining a new, fresh light on information. Candace Owen just came out with the whole. She just came out with this documentary style. The whole hands up, don't shoot, and the way BLM formed was predicated on a lie. As somebody that would blindly defend BLM, and I would talk to people that would invite me to go out and loot and go crazy and act a fool, I never did any of that activity. Remember, it got too deep and too crazy for me. I just feel like I owe it to myself to take a look. So he had artery. I'm going to say something terrible. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to search. Oh, freaking Microsoft. Google will do for my purposes right now. I do want to see what this means. Is a type of vascular disease where the blood vessels carrying oxygen away from the heart become damaged from factors such as high cholesterol. Okay, it was not a healthy fella. Diabetes, certain genetic influences. Okay, so he had that going for him. We're going to leave this open in case I have to define something else. Oh, wrong one. Okay, this is a very different live than what I'm accustomed to. All right, hypertensive heart disease. Oh, and multifocal severe hypertensive heart disease. All right. Cardi. I don't know what this is, so I have to do a quick search. Something cardio. What now? What? That's another name for an enlarged heart. That's what cardiomegaly is. The range of underlying problems that can lead to an enlarged heart may be pathological, linked to actual disease. And he was under a lot of stress, as well as these other factors. Clinical history of hypertension, left pelvic he had a tumor, didn't even know. Incidental, though, see microscopic description. And here's where it's interesting to me. No life-threatening injuries identified. Now, didn't Chauvin get 22 years for being the cause? Like, I mean, Chauvin became the easiest guy to hate. All of those officers did. They were the scapegoats. They were America's scapegoats. They were the angry left that wanted to go out and they did. They set fires and did wanton destruction, and we know what followed. We were there for that, right? You can go on freaking 4chan and see videos of what that destruction, that blind destruction looked like. There's a video that you may have run across in the randomness of the internet where there was, I'm just going to speak plainly, there was like a room up top, like probably about 4 stories up, and they were watching the protesters walk by, and the people that lived inside, they were white, younger, uh, older than teenagers, early 20s, and they were shouting that they were in solidarity and supporting with the crowd that was marching on by, and the crowd started throwing stones at their windows and broke their windows. And that's the irony of that video. They didn't care. They just wanted to rage out. But I guess that's what riots are for. Unfortunately, where the point is lost and it's just time for payback. So, no life threatening injuries identified, no facial, oral, mucosal, or conjunctival. I'm going to struggle here. No injuries of anterior muscles of neck. Oh, whoa, man. Wasn't the entire thing that the oxygen was cut off from his neck? What was it? 13 minutes? That's what I recall. This is my first time reading it, so bear with me. No scalp soft tissue, skull or brain injuries, no chest wall soft tissue injuries, rib fractures other than a single rib fracture from CPR, so that's after the case, vertebral column injuries, visceral injuries, incision and subcutaneous dissection of posterior and lateral neck, shoulders, back, flanks, and buttocks, negative for occult trauma. It's going to get very interesting when I get to this portion right here. Viral testing. Minnesota Department of Health they did a swab positive for 29. Is this what I think it is? Because I remember them saying he had COVID back, like after, because it was before COVID became like really a thing. Is this what I'm looking at? 2019-NCOV RNA? And then this one was released in what, 2020. Okay, so he had COVID too. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going off of this. Hemoglobin is okay. I'm gonna skip the stuff that I don't fully understand. HHC laboratory 38%. All right, now here's where it gets, as I've been saying, just intriguing. It makes you want to look into things more. Okay, because we've accepted the media and the government giving what they thought the people wanted so that peace would return to the streets. In my opinion, I have definitely done a 180 on how I feel about this case and the results of everything that's happened since. So the toxicology report is blood, drug, and novel psychoactive substance screens. Fentanyl 11, if I'm seeing that correctly here. 11, was that milligrams? If that's the case, I can tell you that 2 milligrams is enough to be a lethal dose. I am uncertain if this first finding, fentanyl 11, is that a type? What is the number 11 here? What is this norfentanyl 5.6 ng/ml? That's fatal. That man was going to expire that day with that much in him, on top of methamphetamines, hydro. Okay, like we're talking like oxy. He had some marijuana, uh, continine positive, caffeine positive, with all the heart conditions he had. Blood volatiles negative for ethanol, menthol. Is okay. Urine drug screen, presumptive positive for cannabinoids. Okay. Fentanyl. Okay, here's the comments. Here's something I can at least understand. I'm still thrown off by the whole. He had COVID and a bad heart as it was. And despite all the findings and all the drugs that were obviously in his system, it was Chauvin on his neck. And didn't somebody like actually take a test on how that specific position did not cut off the oxygen? Oh man, I know I'm gonna have friends that are gonna give me a lot of crap. All right. The finding of sickled appearing cells in many of the autopsy tissues sections prompted the hemoglobin S quantification reported above. I know I sound like an encyclopedia. This quantitative result is indicative of sickle cell trait. Jesus, sickle cell syndrome? Red blood cells in individuals with sickle cell trait are known to sickle as a post-mortem artifact. The descendants Antmortem peripheral blood smear made from a complete blood count collected was reviewed by an expert a pathologist at the medical examiner's request. This review found no evidence of anterium sickling, and this descendant was known to be positive. I have to confirm this. Am I relearning something that you guys have already known? Are they saying that he was COVID positive here? Because I remember hearing something about that, and I was just already like, okay, yeah, man, I get it. Coronavirus. So he had COVID, an enlarged heart, uh, sickle cell. Jesus. Okay, I need to see what do you make of that? I don't know what to. Yes, he had fentanyl in him. He had a lot of fentanyl in him. Did you guys see what I was showing? Let me highlight it. Okay, uh, I I'm just a layman that's confused at the information. Let me go to the drug testing portion. Check this out right here. Like, what are they saying? He had 11 milligrams? And I don't know what norfentanyl is. 11 milligrams will kill like 4 people. Let me check this out right quick. Multiple fentanyl overdoses, duh. Okay. The essential lethal dose of fentanyl in humans is 2 milligrams. Recommended serum, blah, blah, blah. So is that 10 to 20 ng? Wait. Okay. 1 to 2 ng/ml, and for the anesthesia, it is 10 to 20 ng/ml blood concentrations of approximately. I don't understand fully what I'm reading here. How much is 2 milligrams? Each 2 milligram ampule contains 100 micrograms of fentanyl. Each 10 milligram ampule, I don't know, nothing takes away from the fact that if having that in his system, man, like as much and as easy as it was to hate Chauvin, because he's appearing to be the most angry in that very tense situation. I remember even the other cops, they wanted to lock him up and throw away the key for everybody that was involved, even the EMTs. One cop that just wasn't even involved, just had his back turned. The country wanted blood, and they placated to it. And then how does a DNC funded, how does a grassroots movement that ends up being funded by the DNC, a grassroots movement that preaches socialism, how does that all correlate with, the false hands up, don't shoot, which was an example of what was it, 2 cases? I forget the other individual. That's the one that he was selling cigarettes, and he ended up expiring as well. I mean, he went and he punched the individual. I can't remember the man and the case, but it was on film. He robbed a gas station and punched the vendor in the face. He was a big guy. He didn't have his hands up like this because he was surrendering. He was putting his hands up to put his hands up. And George Floyd, as I recall throughout the video, even though I'm rusty and it's years ago, there was never this, and that became a wave of this is what's going to equal the Black Lives Matter movement. And I just don't know how something grassroots preaching, so like, why did socialism get involved in something that was about civil rights? So it went from apolitical to Black Lives Matter to, police brutality. I remember seeing and watching in real time. One of my own friends was filming as he was driving around the streets here in Florida, and all the cops, a whole bunch of cops, because people were marching and there was no stopping them. There was probably about 20 officers that all just took a knee, and the crowd cheered and shouted, and they moved on. It was the only way for that to happen. So, and then somehow we get to find the connections between BLM being funded by the DNC and also like filling out their tax returns. They have 3 over multi-million-dollar houses, all while preaching civil rights, which is a just cause, but socialism, you cannot walk on such strong, fiery hypocrisy and succeed off of the very roots of capitalism and say, yeah, but capitalism's evil. Here I am living it up. So I guess with this information, and thank you to you that sent this to me. I hope you see this. I do take very seriously any and all of you that send me information. Whoa, is there more? Uh, when initially examined, the body is in a sealed, locked. I don't think there's much more that there is to go through. He was a large fella, 6'4", 223, but so many issues going on there, man. So many issues. Okay, well, clothing, personal effects. Let me see if there's anything that sticks out as I do a quick little scan. Evidence of injury: head and neck, 4 centimeter maximum dimension, abraded red, black, purple contusion, lateral corner of left brow, pinpoint red abrasion just left of the midline of the forehead. None of that is enough to end somebody. 6.5 centimeter maximum dimension, red black abrasion, left cheek. Yeah, there was a scuffle. Did he or did he not go for a firearm? I do not recall that. Shoulders, extremities, wrists, and hands. Okay. What do we got here? Internal examination. Let me see the neck specifically, right quick. Layer by layer dissection of the interior strap muscles of the neck discloses no areas of There's no. Are you kidding me? This man got 22 years. I wish that this we were in a country that could wait till the sensationalism and the mob mentality dies down and then go ahead and look at a case again. Is he even up for parole? So layer by layer, they went through every layer of this man's neck, okay, of the interior strap muscles of the neck discloses no areas of contusion or hemorrhage within the musculature. The thyroid cartilage and hyoid bone are intact. Larynx is lined with intact mucosa. The thyroid is this dude. According to this, there the cause of death is not what the media and everybody has stated it was. That threw the book at the officers. Not that they were saints, but just 22 years of someone's life just because people are angry seems a bit crazy. Um, the tongue is free of bite marks, so he was not biting down on his tongue. Hemorrhage or other injuries. The cervical spinal column is palpably stable and free of hemorrhage. Let me see. There's something about respiratory. Um, the right and left lungs weigh. Yep, I can't read that. Grams. Okay, good. The external surfaces are pink only on the most interior aspects and deep red, purple, and all. Okay. Cardiovascular, liver, spleen, pancreas, adrenals. Okay. Additional procedures. Everything that could have been done was done, and the family. I would love to see. Look, here's all the drugs. I'd love to see what the families, not attorney, they got a separate coroner to do their own report. So here's the toxicology report, and to get a confirmation again, methamphetamine and fentanyl and whatever norfentanyl is. What the hell is norfentanyl? Dude, this guy was freaking just lit, bro. He was lit. Sorry, as I am a little shocked in real time. Fentanyl is 11 positive. Okay, this is going to be a hard segue from what I intend to do. Let me visit the stream here real quick. I mean, what do we got? Is Lewis here? Lewis is usually let's not pretend that the cop wasn't abusing his power. Okay, it's a legitimate point. But I would ask you this in return, sincerely, Lewis. Abuse of power or not, was he the cause of George Floyd's death? And to that is the question that the jury had to answer, or that the judge had to come to the conclusion, and I would say based on the toxicology report, all the information, he may have definitely, keeping the knee on his neck for too long, and it looked terrible, and it made for sensational TV, and it made for a lot of keyboard warriors, but it was not the cause of his expiration. So, abuse of power or not, simply being an overzealous officer doesn't. Chauvin definitely contributed to his death. I mean, with based on the toxicology report alone, it's very well possible he would have died that day. Based on the autopsy report, there was no contusions, which means there was not enough force to actually do damage that was able to be found as something that led to him actually dying. That wasn't the case, as I understand it, dude. 2 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to kill you and I. 2 milligrams. This man had over 11 milligrams on top of methamphetamines, dude. He was up and down and all around. So you can say he was saying he couldn't breathe while sitting in a vehicle. I believe, yeah. Okay, see, Big Barn. And with that being said, for one, this I hear a lot from one of my friends that's an officer, and we've had a couple people on Stuck in the Middle podcast. If you're saying, and this may sound heartless, facts are facts, right? If you're able to say, I cannot breathe, you're breathing. However, I am not trying to take away from the fact that I believe there was an OD occurring. What's up, mutated? Hey, keep the peels. There was an OD occurring, but you're saying he choked him out. But the autopsy report shows that he was not choked out, and that was not him. He did not die from being choked out. Lewis, look, man. Hold on. I closed it, dude. The conclusive report of from the state and every official, the coroners and everybody that had to go through that. They dissected this man layer by layer through his neck and everything else. They checked out the lungs, the heart. That was an overdose. The neck wasn't even on a position that blocks your oxygen. So, I don't know. I don't know. What's up, Big Cat brother? Good to see you. I don't know, guys, if you guys are ready for a huge segue. Like, completely. Storm, by the way, I don't think I've seen you in a bit. It's always refreshing to see you. Welcome. Have you ever overdosed on fentanyl? I have. No kidding, Maxwell. I mean, I've seen. Well, yeah, Lewis, you're a funny guy. I don't know, man. Look, I am not an expert, and I'm just going to allege with the information that is publicly available to anybody that is willing to do the research. I will see if I can access the family's coroner report, which I believe came to the same damn conclusion. If I recall, I'm rusty. It was a few years ago, but that's just to save the cop. What I wish, Lewis, that you would agree to come up on here one day. I mean, we're friends in real life. We need to just have a beer and have a few discussions on everything we've ever talked about here. Big Cat, thank you, brother. You know I got you. Appreciate it, cuzzo. Never necessary, but I appreciate it. I have seen cops in Cali using more aggressive well, in frickin' California, it's that's a blue state nightmare. The laws and immigration and man, there was a very interesting clip today where a Republican played an old clip of Bill Clinton talking about you don't drink beers. Good. I don't drink beers either. I hate beer. It's bourbon for us, son. Where they played Bill Clinton talking about and trust me, I hate the Clintons with a passion. Never forget that. But he played this for an example to the House, the Senate, whatever, for the Democrats. And it was Bill Clinton taking a hard line on tightening up and deporting the criminals that come in and reinforcing our borders and trying to get as much in the budget to do just that. And he said, we are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. And he made the point, like, if I would have played that and blocked out who was speaking it, you guys would have guessed it was Donald Trump. Clinton's greater than Trump's. Hey, Barry. I hate the Clintons with a passion, a fervent passion. They're some of the dirtiest people. based on all the research, which is debatable. Everybody can do their own research, come to their own conclusions, but dude, they're dirty, man. They and look, 46 names attached to their likeness that just no longer exists, that had some series of unfortunate events. You should have been here when I played Anthony Weiner, getting confronted about all that, man. Anyway, all right. So completely inappropriate segue, guys. I don't know if this was today, and I can't believe this channel is still doing it live. It's just a reloop and restream. You guys heard? We just got alien confirmation, guys. So I'm going to click over here. And let's see. Look, this freaking live chat is still going. This thing has had 11,000 people watching it at once. Now it's finally down below 1K. I hope they don't get me. Like, I'm not stream sniping, but this is the only place on loop. And the whole thing about oversight committee hearing, or security oversight, dude, they talk about nukes. They talk about new legislation. I cannot help but feel this is, remember, I'm sharing my opinions and my opinions alone. I am not speaking anything that is finite, that cannot be debated. I am not speaking law here. Everything is up for debate. My opinion, though, is that this is a very convenient distraction. Right after just yesterday, what did I play last night? I played, oh yeah, that's right. They finally found enough reason and evidence, physical evidence, and both documentation and circumstantial, to go after the Biden family for perjury. He lied about never talking to or having any business dealings with China. They were announcing the beginning of a God damn it, impeachment investigation into the Bidens. That was just yesterday, and man, that guy was polished and he handled himself super super well. So now breaking news: aliens and the right and the left are unified. If you haven't seen any of this, enjoy real quick, okay? Just a smidgen.
We live in a vast galaxy, a lot of unanswered questions, and thank you all for being here today. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'd like to one more time thank Mr. Burchin, Ms. Luna for bringing this to our attention.
Very all of a sudden,
it's
by
a
the way.
topic that has interested me since I was in school. It was a very illuminating hearing. Obviously, I think several of us are going to look forward to getting some answers in a more confidential setting.
The timing is
some
too on the
legislation will
nose,
come out of
man.
this.
This is, in my opinion, our next election cycle is the most important election in my own lifetime. I think I could say that with full confidence. This is going to push right under the spotlight of having the Bidens investigated. It's going to push it right away, and it's going to be drowned out by, like, you got to see where this ends up leading. Okay, like security. It sounds like the beginning of Independence Day, man. Like, this shit is wild. Give me a moment. I apologize.
Sure.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I need to compliment the folks in my office that did a lot of the work on this. Rachel and Noah sitting behind me here. They're very quiet and humble, but if without them, this thing would not have come off like it did. So I apologize.
Thank you. I think we're going to want to look into what we can do to make more of this information public. I think there's certainly a time period after which it should always be made public, and people have been concerned about these issues, like I said, since I was in high school. But in any event, I'd like to thank everybody who was here, sticking through the entire hearing. Without objection, without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. Additionally, without objection, the following members are waived onto the subcommittee for the purpose of participating in today's hearing: Mr. Burchett of Tennessee, Ms. Luna of
I'm
Florida, Mr. Getz of Florida, Mr.
introductions,
Burleson of
but
Missouri.
apparently we got a mix of whistleblowers and somebody so accredited that it's brought up that so that when the New York Times talks about this, there will be enough credibility. Here we go. Here's the whistleblower. When they ask him why he came forward, it just sounds disingenuous.
Served at the NRO Operations Center on the director's briefing staff, which included the coordination of the presidential daily brief and supporting variety of contingency operations, which I was the Reserve Intelligence Division Chief backup. In 2019, the UAP Task Force Director asked me to identify all special access programs and controlled access programs, also known as SAPs and CAPs, we needed to satisfy our congressionally mandated mission, and we were direct report at the time to the DepSecDef. At the time, due to my extensive executive level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a
Okay,
position of
yada
extreme
yada.
trust.
You
both
had
in
the
my ability-
clearance. Let's
Why
get
you
to it.
believe it's kind of to play the devil's advocate, a reason why some of this stuff should not be available to the public?
There's certainly some national security concerns when we use our advanced sensors in our tactical jets to be able to identify these objects. However, there's no reason that the objects themselves would be classified. I would be curious to see how the security classification guideline actually spells out the different nuances of how this topic is classified from the perspective of UAP, not national security.
I'll give you a follow-up on that. Assuming that there are reasons why not all this should be made public, this has been around for a long period of time. Can any of the three of you think of any reason why anything related to UAPs, say 15 years and back, should not be immediately made public?
I think one of it is acknowledging a vulnerability, both from a collection and I'll just say a countermeasure perspective. So it's
We'll go with safety.
that we haven't cracked for
A
many years.
vulnerability of a countermeasure perspective in terms of what? Are you talking about an impending invasion? Like if they decide to, because that is something that is discussed here. This was live today, and it's still being played as if it is live. It's not. But it just gets deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. I'm going to start making executive decisions here to jump further and further until I hear what I know gets very scary and relevant. Like the guy saying we need to pass new legislation, and then somebody interrupts him with some nonsense.
Even say 20 years back, is there any reason why when you go back that far, things shouldn't?
Shut up.
That my wife has put up with me for 9 years today. Today is my anniversary, so
I don't care.
Balloon was allowed to transit the entire continental United States.
You're born.
or any agency to notify Congress. Do they contact the chairman of a committee? Do they get them on the phone specifically?
they?
Is this through an email to hypothetically a dead email box?
A lot of it comes through what they call the PPR, Periodic Program Review Process. If it's a SAP or Controlled Access Program Equity, and then those go to the specific committees, whether it be the SAS,
Okay.
CASC, HISI.
Thank you. I apologize. I just, my time is limited. Mr. Graves, one of your main concerns is that the FAA currently does not have an official process to receive reports of UAP from pilots or others, correct?
Correct.
And in your experience, what data should the Aero program prioritize for potential collection? We have, location, date, time, but are there other specific characteristics that should be included in these reports?
Certainly. I think that there's two categories that would be important. One would be kinematics and understanding the specifics of how the vehicle or objects are moving. And the second would be a more zoomed out approach of being able to look at origin and destination before the incident, as well as getting a better contextual understanding of how these objects are interacting with each other.
Thank you. Now, because I only have a minute left, I apologize, we only have 5 minutes today, but for the record, if you were me, where would you look? Titles, programs, departments, regions, if you could just name anything. And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you. Commander Fravor?
I would say, and I've told people that you have to know where to look. They're not going to divulge it to you.
Okay. All
Because
right.
the classification.
I'm getting
space-time metric engineering, some light reading for some of our members.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp wrote, since 1969, the position our military has been that UFOs pose no threat to national security and are not worthy of further study. I'd say that's the biggest understatement of the decade. He also goes on to talk about the dismissive attitude. It's at odds with what was revealed in documents, reports, and internal memos. Mr. Cabral says,
Forgive me real quick, but hasn't it been pretty much near common knowledge that our military Air Force has run into UFOs and documentation? I am someone who's been raised, and I have no qualms about believing in, life in the infinite ness that is space. By the way, Shamrock, you say you're blocked in chat. Don't worry, it will be undone. But
He writes these words, the UFO is emerging as a major topic of global importance. I can state that as a fact. Out there, I met a fellow who came in here all the way from Denmark to be here for this meeting. So this is huge. This is worldwide. I think we suspect what's going on, but I'd also like to thank the members of Congress who have supported our efforts to make this hearing happen. Some have even confided to me that they've had UFO sightings of their own. Those members, of course, some of them wish to remain anonymous, and I'll keep it that way. But also, finally, I'd like to thank these three brave witnesses here. They took an oath. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Whistleblowers normally get a lot of flack and backlash for blowing the whistle because they work for an agency and or a company that wants to keep its secrets. But this has been a giant circle jerk this entire hearing. It's the left and the right congratulating each other. They all stand up and applaud each other. It makes me highly nervous, suspicious, especially when one of these morons says, clearly we're going to have to pass new legislation as a result of this. And then when they start talking about the nuclear access of other countries and what treaties have been signed, we haven't gotten there yet because they're talking nonsense.
United States, and dadgummit, they're doing it. And we owe them a debt of gratitude.
There you go. Lock Biden up. Give us the flight logs. We still have our priorities. Okay? Shut up.
Only rumored to exist, but were used in the Osama bin Laden raid in 2011. But we can't allow that to be used as a shield.
Shut up.
Absolutely based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would just say that I think that
Don't look like whistleblowers that came out in fear for their jobs and in fear of the sensitive information they're having while respecting confidentiality. And there's mention of NDAs. Like, this is just... I hate to make such final conclusions, but it is my strong feeling. Man, I'm not holding back until I'm proven otherwise. I think this was a strategic move. All of this. There is a description of a UFO by one of the gentlemen. It was a transparent large cube, see-through, and there was a sphere inside with no clear propulsion system. I just clearly can't get to the actual clips because they're circle jerking each other too damn long. But this is the united front.
these questions are important questions, and I look forward to being involved in the process to get those answered. I know there'll be a lot of questions from other committee members, so I yield back.
Thank you. We'll go to Mr. Burchett himself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I would like to have you on my legislation to do just that on the reporting, and we'll get together on that. Maybe you can be my co-sponsor on that. That'd be really cool. Thank you for those great questions. Mr. Graves, again, I'd like to know, how do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Here we go. Finally.
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's zero airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
Okay. Have you spoken to commercial and military pilots that have seen these off of our East Coast?
I have.
Okay. Mr. Favor, I noticed that in the Tic Tac video,
Tic Tac?
it's Tic Tac, like the candy, not TikTok, like
thank you.
Chinese
Okay.
Communist
Got jokes.
app.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. I just want to make that because my daughter corrected me on that and called me a boomer and said, "Hey, boomer," and I said, "No, baby, it's Tic Tac like the candy. You're gonna have to just look it up." And but now I would also like to say today is a day of many firsts. It's a miracle that we're having this meeting, and it's also a miracle that my wife has put up with me for 9 years today. Today is my anniversary, so I want to tell my wife happy anniversary and that I love her very much. As she likes to say, this 9 years have been the best 2 years of her life. So thank you. Mr. Favor, What astonished you the most about the flight capabilities of these Tic Tac, very briefly?
The performance, absolute performance. It was,
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities?
no, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Are you aware of any other reconnaissance platforms that have tracked or recorded the Tic Tac's maneuvers, maybe the NORAD system or any of the others?
I am not.
Okay. Mr. Grush, thank you for being here, brother.
Shut up.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have you faced any retaliation or reprisals for any of your testimony or anything on these lines?
Yeah, I have to
really?
be careful what I say in detail because there is an open whistleblower reprisal investigation on my behalf, and I don't want to compromise that investigation by providing anything.
Doesn't check out.
Help provide somebody information, but it was very brutal and very unfortunate. Some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, to be quite frank. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate, as they say, when you're over the target, that's when they do the most firing at you. Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think, that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe in a, if we could get in a
This
confidential area, skip.
this is a spit in the mouth of every American that is really intrigued. Maybe later we can have a confidential conversation later. Like, come on now.
If we could talk about that, but unfortunately, we were denied access to the skiff, and that's very unfortunate in this scenario.
I'm gonna
Mr. Favor,
drop of boredom.
do you believe that you witnessed an additional object under the water in relation to your encounter?
I will say we did not see an object. There was something there to cause the whitewater, and when we turned around, it was gone. So there was something there that obviously moved.
Okay, it was not the same object though that you were looking at, correct?
No, we actually joked that the Tic Tac was communicating with something when we came back, and because the whitewater disappeared.
We were in another instance, we're told about the capabilities of a jamming during viewing of when there were some people chasing some of these objects. Did you experience any of that jamming or interrupting your radar or weapons system?
My crew that launched after we landed experienced significant jamming to the APG-73 radar, which was what we had on board, which is a mechanically scanned, very high-end.
Give me more.
What about what they look like? How close did you get? Did you see a seam or a rivet or a section? And what I mean is, obviously, the jets you're flying have all those things. Did these objects have those?
Do you want to go, Ryan?
I didn't have the detail to be able to tell that.
So we got within a half mile of the Tic Tac, which people say that's pretty far, but in airplanes, that's actually relatively close. No, it was perfectly white, smooth, no windows. Although when we did take the original FLIR video that is out there, when you put it on a big screen, it actually had two little objects that came out of the bottom of it. But other than that, no windows, no seams, no nothing.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself about ATs, advanced technologies that the U.S. government has?
Based on conventional advanced tech, I was briefed to the preponderance of the Defense Department's both space and aerospace compartmented programs, yeah.
Do you have knowledge or do you have reason to believe that there are programs in the advanced tech space that are unsanctioned?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say that they're above
Okay,
congressional,
the government and the branches that are in control of this crap, I want to offer you guys the link if you're interested and you want to sit through this, because there are very alarming points in this very dull ass hearing. Okay, so here's the link if in case you want to check it out. All right, the one thing I cannot shake is the timing and like the individual that's speaking with such conviction and confidence. He doesn't say, when he says they have tried to intimidate me or make me miserable. Has there been any retaliation? When he's referring to they, is he talking about the military? That's very, very bold. And his response, like, have people straight up been ended because they were doing inquiries? I can discuss that outside of here. I just, I, f- while this is supposed to be a historic day, and you'll see how many times they get up, circle, jerk, and clap for each other time and time again, and they celebrate how it's a bipartisan thing. And what do I say every time? Anytime that the bipartisan relationship shines through, get nervous. Every legislation that is pushed in the name of the left and the right uniting, the Republicans and the Democrats, it is always to screw over the little guy. What do I keep on citing every time? Okay, Ted Cruz tried to pass a unanimously supported. What did I just hit? He tried to pass a bill that will just trample our Fourth Amendment right, which is just putting a warning label on devices that we purchase for our homes. And if it records anything that can be used against you, boom, done. It is legal because you purchased something that had a warning. So, in the event that you do say something personal or something that can lead to you getting in trouble, it was obtained legally. The intimacy of your home, which is respected by the Fourth Amendment, will have no bearing. Rand Paul is the only politician putting his foot down to this. And right now, like, seriously, just fucking yesterday, that they announced they were going to investigate the Bidens 24 hours ago, man. And then you mean to tell me, just like, this thing with the coincidences, all right? Just like when Trump imposed the very aggressive tariffs against China, and we all played the long game. We suffered our aluminum and metal. I was in the hurricane shutter business, and it was tough. We got through it, and we were about to finally have China sign the deal where we were able to retain our patents. We were going to be a manufacturing powerhouse again. A month later, COVID happens, and the negotiations are off the table. The deal is off the table. Now, I know, like, I'm spitting a lot of rhetoric and all of that. I just want to make it clear. Sorry, I had a double speak there. Just want to make it clear that I'm just thinking out loud and freely, and I am open to be challenged, and everybody can please just make things make sense when everything seems so confusing and misleading. I am 100% wholly convinced, it is my opinion, that we're being misled, and literally our attention is being pulled away from us, and we'll be shamed if we dared to utter, but what about the Biden investigation? What are you talking about? We just confirmed aliens and UAPs and UFOs. How dare you talk about that stupid investigation? And all the while, it's going to be just A-OK to go after Trump for the third indictment. Where do we have our say? We get to vote here and there. We get to vote locally. We get to vote in generals and primaries. When do we actually get to detail how the system works? Because it really, really feels like a huge failure. I'm disenfranchised. I am terrified. I want to love this country again. That is my stance, and that is all I have to say. Okay, that's it, y'all. I finished. Thank you, James, Mutated Angels, Patty, Country Boy, Archaeology. Keep the peels. I'm exhausted. I'm mentally strained. All of this, it doesn't add up, and that makes for my mind to be very unsettled. I'd be surprised if I get any sleep tonight. Oh, that's obvious. Exactly. Like, what power do we really have? What is the people's power that we've all fought so hard for, or that our forefathers have, or our ancestors, or down the line, we have fought their wars? We have shed our blood, or our family's history. We have done everything that's ever been asked of us. And this is the system we find ourselves in, where they pretend our votes matter. And the one mainstream station that said otherwise is backpedaling because they got sued by the corrupt Dominion system. Fact check me, YouTube. Do your thing. Let's see how much you want to bet, guys, that they're going to go ahead and kill the algorithm on this one. Please feel free to just, it's not doing your part. If you feel generous enough to smash the thumbs up, it goes a long way. We are fighting the algorithm every single day. Every time we're live, every time we have a little congregation and conversation, they are trying to silence us and censor us. and sharing this. It means the world to me when I scroll through my mentions and I see we have to fight this good fight. And I cannot wait. Josh and I will be on Rumble ASAP. Good night until then, guys. Big Barn Productions, thank you, by the way, for sharing that video with me. I really hope some of you do check it out and get to the part where they start talking about other countries and their nuclear capabilities and what treaties were signed, have been signed. Like, where is it all going? It seems like, this is a term that I've avoided like the plague because I know the connotations that come with it. New World Order kind of crap, man. When we have the united two-party system, which is just meant to keep the people divided, when the powers that be are united so openly and honestly, it is so clear to me that they have nothing but a hidden agenda and nefarious intent. I hope things improve. Okay, I mean it this time. Good night. Hey, what's up? Action is not distraction, Mr. President. Peace out, Trisha. I'll check you out later. I'm gone. I know it. Trust me. Truth is hard to come by. No.